Okay, so you guys, we're gonna make a pinch pot. Something slightly like this. These are two examples of pinch pots. You're gonna need one piece of clay to start with your pinch pot. First, I'm gonna show you how to cut your clay using this fishing line. You're gonna cut down in the middle and straight back up. Cut down this way and straight back up. So it looks like an X right in the middle of there. And then you're gonna take the fishing line and you're gonna hold it down about an inch and you're gonna pull it straight back towards you to cut a nice even piece of clay. And that's about the size that we're gonna be working with. Could be a little bit smaller or a little bit bigger. Then I need to show you wedging. To wedge your clay, you're gonna press it, and this presses the air out of it. You're gonna press it down on the table about 10, 15 times, and what we're trying to do is make sure the clay has no air bubbles. If your clay has air bubbles, it'll blow up when it gets fired in the kiln. So you really wanna make sure you press down hard. You wanna stand up for this and not sit down in your chair. And make sure when you're pressing against the table, you're pushing with a little bit of force, getting all the air bubbles out. When you're done pressing it, you can start off with a nice ball like this. Okay, let's stop.
Go.
Okay. All right, when you're making your pinch pot, pretty much that's what you're doing, is you're pinching a pot. You're gonna take your clay, pinch your thumbs in the middle, and pinch your fingers on the outside. I constantly rotate it, and you wanna make sure your walls are nice and even, the bottom and the top. You can feel how thick it is as you're pinching. You wanna go slow and keep rotating it, and make sure that your walls are always the same thickness. As you're pinching and rotating, you want to make sure you don't have any cracks. If you get any cracks, you want to make sure you smooth them as you go. And the goal is to try to make a nice thin-walled pinch pot. You can do whatever shape you'd like. As you're pinching, make sure your walls end up to be about 1/4 inch thick to a 1/2 inch thick. So you can feel that with your fingers. You can hold it in different ways, trying to get the basic shape. You can make your edges nice and straight or your edges rounded. You can make your walls angled or try to make them straight up like this. And it's all a matter of how you feel and manipulate the clay and play with it. You can tap it on the bottom to make this edge straight. You can tap it on the bottom to give it a flat bottom. Smooth it on the table. Most of your building should be done in your hands, and some of it can be done on the table. Okay, so you guys, I've been letting it kind of sit out in the air and playing with it a little bit and smoothing it like this a little bit. And this clay is really wet, and sometimes that's going to happen for you where you get clay that's extra wet. So it's going to be a little bit flimsy. So what I decided to do is give it a little bit of a bent edge. And I'm still going to have to smooth it a lot more and play with it a lot more. And so it'll take a couple days for this to get to a good hardness to where I can be done with it. So right now I'm going to add on some feet on the bottom. So you can do feet in different ways. You can grab a piece of clay that's been wedged already, and you can roll out a coil like this, and you can make a fat rim around the bottom for your pot to stand on. And it can stand up like that, and that can be the base. Or you can make like little ball feet, and I'm going to do that one this time. So I'm going to roll this into 3 even balls. So I'm going to make 3 feet on the bottom, and I'm going to score and slip them on. So as you make them nice and neat and even, you're going to find out where they're going to go on the bottom of your pot, and then you're going to make a little mark there. So to score and slip, you need a paper clip or a toothpick, and you need slip. And the slip is pretty much just clay and water, and it gets really slimy. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your toothpick, and you're going to score the surface right here, and you're going to score this surface right here, and you're going to connect them together by using the slip, which acts as a glue. You're going to put it on both sides, this side and this side. And then as you push them together, you're going to twist and push a little bit. Because this clay is still a little bit wet, you might have to put your finger in there so it doesn't dent in. And then you can use your toothpick again to smooth the edges. You can also use a tool or a pencil to smooth your edges. And as it dries more, you'll be able to smooth it better. And then you would score and slip both of these on, and then you would have feet for your pot to stand on. You need to score and slip on the other 2 feet. Try to make them nice and even in a triangle. and then it stands up like this. And so because my clay is still a little bit wet, I'm gonna have to wait till tomorrow to keep working on it. The other option you guys have for making added features, one of your requirements is added features, like these feet would be. You can make a handle instead. You can make 2 handles on the side, but you do need to have something added onto your pinch pot with scoring and slipping technique. And then on day 2 or day 3, when the clay is a little bit drier, you're going to take your paper clip or toothpick, and you're going to add in a carved in design. You don't want to carve it in on the first day, because if you carve it in on the first day, your lines will be really rough and they won't look pretty. So you want to wait till your second day or third day. Carve in very lightly and go slow. Make a nice detailed design either on the outside or on the inside or on the middle. And there's the start of our pinch pot. When you're ready to put your project away for the day, you're going to use a board. You can share it with somebody else next to you. You're also going to need a bag. You can use this bag or this bag. You want to make sure there's no holes in them. If there's holes, it won't work because you want to keep the air from drying out your clay. I'll use this one today. You're going to put it on your board. What I did is I put some paper towels underneath mine so that it wouldn't collapse because my clay is really wet today. And you might want to do that if your clay is wet one time. So as you put it on the board, put the bag over, and you want to make sure that it's sealed so that the air doesn't dry out overnight. With extra wet clay, it would be okay to let a little bit of air in to let it dry out a tad bit overnight, but you really need it to stay moist so you can work on it the next day, and then this will go in the cabinet. Okay, so I got my project out of the bag, and it's really stiff today. It's still movable a little bit, but it's much harder than it was before, and it had a lot of little hairline cracks in it. So I started smoothing with my fingers, and then what I did is I took a sponge, and I dipped the sponge in some water, and I added some moisture to the inside. Can you see how that's a little bit rougher on the inside? After the moisture settled in, I took my finger and then started smoothing again to make my surface quality a little bit smoother. So I was focusing on the outside. A lot of times, most of the smoothing I do is with my fingers, like this. And sometimes I use a tool to smooth in between here. So I've already done some rough smoothing. I added water with the sponge, and then I was smoothing again with my fingers. Sometimes I don't use a sponge. Sometimes you can just use a spray bottle to spray your project down and get it wet. After it gets wet, you let it dry a little bit and smooth again with your finger, and then all of those rough lines that were here start to go away when you smooth it a second time. And then I started to carve just to show you. I used my toothpick. Can you guys see these little boogers that I was talking about in the demonstration? It might not be the best day to carve today. It might be better to carve tomorrow, so I might wait. But as you're carving, you can go slow. As your project dries more, you'll be able to scrape these boogers off with a tool. Right now, if you scrape them off, see how the lines start to get filled in? You'd have to redraw them again. But it's your choice if you want to try to do it on the second day and scrape off the boogers later and redraw them if they need to, or wait till the third day when the project gets a little bit drier. It's a tad bit easier to carve in your design. Completely done with your project and you're ready to turn it in before it's fired. I need you guys to write your initials on the bottom of your project and your period number. I'll put mine for period number 2. You don't need to write period, you can just write the number 2. As long as it's legible, that's how we will identify your projects.